commission meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Dominic, Johnson, Jackson, Lynn,
Here.
Bowman, Hawthorne, Gage Watts, Middleton, Atkins, Chavez, Smith, Lewis Johnson. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We will have our invocation by Commissioner Minister Gerald Bowman, if you don't mind, and our pledge of allegiance by parliamentarian, prophesied parliamentarian, Commissioner Lynn Bowman.
Everyone, please bow your heads. Gracious Father, thank you so much for allowing us to be able to assemble today. Lord, we ask for forgiveness of sins. Father God, I ask that you allow us to be able to be productive and progressive. No matter if we have differences, Lord, allow us to remember our purpose, and our purpose is for the people. Father God, bless our military, Lord, and just dispatch your angels around people right now, Lord. Let there be peace around our city, not only our city, our state, and these United States, Father God. I just entrust these things, and we just know that you will do it all in your Son Jesus' name, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, please turn to the flag and present the proper salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda additions?
I have none, sir.
No agenda additions. Citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning should fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the commission president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. I will take them as I go. Please also remember that citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearing items on the agenda will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each for or against an issue. Those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with the limitation in mind. So we'll get to that when we get to the public hearing process. Under citizen comments, I have Mr. John Settle, and do please be reminded that we do not require you to give your address. All you have to do is state your name for the record. We have your address on the card.
John Settle, I will give my address, 4 Tealwood. I have no idea what y'all as a collective body have discussed in executive session or have been advised by the administration, but I have enough reports about sex at the shelter that I probably will be running a column next week. Right. And I think that, I don't know if it's in the water or what, but there's a report of an employee having sex in the parking lot that I've pretty well confirmed. We have the bestiality, which was there, which I believe has been reported. And now an employee having sex with a trustee inmate or former employee. I think y'all need to do something about it. I think you need to go in executive session. I realize that those things have personnel matters, and a lot of it is protected from public records requests, but I have a lot of information. I nailed it down, and I see no reason not to write a column about it because it's just there. Any other agency, any other government entity that was having a recurring problem of any nature, 3 instances in 3 months, I just think needs to be addressed. And evidently it's not. I was in the military for 4 years, and when things went wrong, whether it was a failed inspection or a bomb got misplaced or something serious, heads rolled. And those of them in the military, you know about it. It may have been the top person or somebody there, but something was taken about it. And so you have 3 instances which are documented that I believe you could share information with in an executive session. It needs to be dealt with. You'll see an article next week on this.
Thank you, Mr. Settle. Mr. Clerk, do you have any more citizens' comment?
No, sir.
Next.
We have no visitors, no special resolutions. We need to adopt the regular session minutes from June 22nd.
So moved. Second. Moved by Commissioner Middleton, second by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn. Please vote on adoption of the regular session minutes. That passes 11-0, one out.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports, administration response and information requests.
None at this moment, none from administration at this moment.
President's report.
Communications.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Gates Watt.
Thank you. On the communiques, I just wanted to make an announcement and follow up on our last committee meeting that we had for the expungement summit was on Monday. And I didn't give a report on that, and the date has been set officially as August the 25th, and it will be held at Riverview Hall and Theater from 9 a.m. will be the first session, and the second one will be at 12 noon. We will be putting out more correspondence in the upcoming weeks on that. Also, on yesterday, we had a prayer vigil at Morning Star Life Center in reference to the crime that is going on in our area. We are also following up with a series of events as we did last year with the Stop the Violence rallies. There are a group of pastors, Young Pastors Association, who has started a 7-week trial and error type commitment for the communities. And they have not set an actual location that they will be in for tomorrow. But if that information becomes available, I'll have it sent to each commissioner by a clerk. And I think that's it for communiques. Thank you.
Commissioner Lynn.
Something interesting that's been happening is that recently I've been going on job interviews, and one of the questions that they asked me in a job interview is, what is the most difficult question to answer? And I thought about that for a second, and I found that the most difficult question to answer, and that we should look at, the most difficult issue to vote on, are the ones where we don't have all the facts. And I'll let you know that for the last 3 issues with the animal shelter, I have received 0 correspondence from the 8th floor. And in receiving 0 correspondence from the 8th floor on that, I asked, well, what are the last 3 reports on an independent audit of animal services? And I keep getting told that to the best of our recollection, that we have a report that was done June the 21st of this year, and then another report that was done, June the 22nd of this year, and May the 24th of 2013. And with that, I ask that we as a commission body, the 12 of us, demand more communication from the 8th floor, so that when people ask us questions, we can speak with them with some basis of knowledge. Last year I came before the commission and I spoke of things that were brought to me from the street. And so I had people on the street that knew information that none of the commission body knew, which it was like pulling teeth to get the information out of the 8th floor in reference to this. And I think that information that we are asked as a body to vote on, to make decisions on behalf of the citizens of Caddo Parish, I think that we should be updated more frequently, at least once a week, as the goings on, as they reflect the citizens of Caddo Parish. And I don't think that that's been happening. I don't think it's been happening for the last 9 years. And I see it only getting worse. And I hope that we could stick together and ask for that. I joked with the commissioner earlier today, is that I had 3 older brothers and 2 older sisters. And they used to beat my ass all the time, anytime they wanted to do it. And that was fine. And they could all do it, and I had to take it. But if somebody else tried to whoop up on me, any one of them would jump in place. And I wish that we would stick together like brothers and sisters and demand this information that's required for us to make knowledgeable decisions, as we are required to do on behalf of the citizens of Caddo Parish. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Vice President Dunn.
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, I spoke to Mr. Cox, Ted Cox. Todd, if you can get with me in the next day or two, we need to get together and try to set a juvenile justice committee meeting. We probably want to do it at the juvenile facilities again, like we did about a year or so ago, to make sure the judges have ability to come there and probably have a luncheon date if we can get around the public records. I guess anybody in the public can come, but if you can start working on that. And I'm going to address some of the stuff that Commissioner Lynn said. I don't know, maybe I see some of this stuff different, but I know, and I've always said this, and I think those commissioners need to do this. And there's always two sides of the story. And when I had an issue or someone told me something happened in the public, and this is the first thing that I found out about it, I picked up the phone and I called Dr. Wilson or Randy Lucky. And when I was president, I always did that. What's the story on this? What's y'all's side of the story? Dr. Wilson is the CEO, and if you read the charter, he is our chief executive officer. He runs the day-to-day decisions. He runs the public works department. We have Robert Glass, who is our who is the director of public works. Chuck Wilson is the director of animal control. We do not run the day-to-day activities. We are a legislative body. That means we make ordinances and laws and adopt a budget. Now, we do have some control, and I said this the other day over to Dr. Wilson, if he's not doing his job, then we can fire him or something along those lines. But I don't think we need to get into day-to-day activities and operations of what Dr. Wilson and the administration and the staff is doing. From my standpoint, I am pleased with the information that y'all have gotten. I think that y'all have done y'all's very best, for the most of the part, to try to give us the facts to make the best decision that we can. And I'm not going to say that's always 100% sure and 100% true, but I think it's our duty to know who to call. And being here since 2007, not trying to brag, but I think I've learned that. If it's something to deal with finance, I'm fixing to call Eric. If it's something to deal with the roads, I'm going to call Robert. And if it's something I need to talk to you or Randy, that's what I'm going to do. I think we need to do a better job when we have questions and concerns about talking to Dr. Wilson. If y'all are not getting a straight answer from Dr. Wilson, then let's get together and go to a committee. If something needs to go to the committee, send it to the committee. But we don't need to be sitting here hashing out the things that the administration negative has what the negativity that they've done. Because I'm telling you right now, the most of the negativity that's happened on the commission is probably us 12 on the things that we've said and we've done.
All right.
Okay? We need to do a better job of cleaning up our house. We went through that election, and I'm going to try to get over that and move past it. But we did some really stupid stuff that caused that election to fail. And I would say it's probably 95% on us 12 commissioners. Y'all may want to disagree, and that's fine. You can disagree. But I'm telling you, when comments are made like this, something's got to be said that you need to go up there and talk to Dr. Wilson. And we're going to, Mr. Settle, we're fixing to meet back here and hopefully answer some of these questions. There are always two sides of the story concerning this animal control. And I've said enough. I know you will. That's why I wanted to invite you to make sure that you did come. I'm sure you knew about it, but
Hold on, Mr. Vice President. Let's not call names. Let's just do the conversation.
Okay, so Mr. Settle, just please come to our meeting. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Atkins for the first time.
I'd like to back up what Commissioner Dominic just stated. I think too often we as commissioners forget our role, and our role is at the governance level, is at the board level. The administration's role is running the day-to-day activities. We need to let them run the day-to-day activities, and we need to stay at a high-level governance level. I personally have had absolutely no problems with the communication style or honesty that I've received from the commission, from the administration. Whenever I've had an issue, I've called a member of the administration, asked them to talk through the issues that I'm struggling with, and they've always provided frank feedback and clear information. So I think the administration is doing a good job with respect to communication. Now, we all have to understand that there's 12 of us, and they've got a parish to run with 350 employees, so they've got their own day-to-day activities they're trying to manage, and they can't call each of us on each issue. And then some of these issues that have come up more recently are very sensitive personnel type issues, which require kid gloves. So we have to be careful. They have to be careful about those communications as well. But ultimately, we need to respect our roles, and we need to respect their roles. And if the majority of us are unhappy with the role that the administration is doing, then to Commissioner Dominic's point, we can change that role. But as long as Dr. Wilson is our administrator, we need to let him run the parish. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
That's good. No problem. Commissioner Lewis Johnson for the first time.
Yes, I feel compelled to at least address that concern as well. And that in the time that I've been here, this commission and commissioners have met for that very reason, to identify the need and the desire to do a better job of communicating. We met as commissioners, we met with the administration, who has clearly voiced their commitment to doing a better job and the best job that they can to communicate with us and to make us aware of things in a more timely manner. And since that meeting, it's evident that they have done that and that they continue to do that. Anyone who has a email address that's on this commission gets quite a few of updates as to what's going on. So as it relates to identifying what we hear in the streets or that type of thing, they may or may not address those things, but commission matters, and as it relates to matters of the parish, we have a public information officer and a parish administrator who, in our presence, listen to us, agree to do a better job, and it's clear to me that they're following up on that commitment. So I too think that our administration is doing a good job as it relates to giving us information. Could always do a better job, I understand that, but I think to get in this forum and to identify only the fact that they're lacking in that area will be remiss unless we were honest enough to say that we've addressed this as a commission and as commissioners, and we've addressed it with our administration, and they have respectfully chosen to work with us with commitment to do that, and I think that they're doing a good job. So I think I had to take this opportunity to say that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me get some procedures or some nomenclatures out of the way. Is Dr. Wilson the CAO or CEO?
Well,
CAO.
And CEO.
And CEO.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Frazier, the personnel policy manuals, are they approved by administration, or are they approved by the commission at any point? Or
some of the policies in there are approved by the parish commission, are adopted as parish-wide, and then some of them are executive orders by the administrator.
okay, any of those executive orders ever come by the commission at all?
No.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, as Mr. Dominic said, ordinances and laws, and I think we should take some responsibility to have some of these policies that, not specifically on how to do things, but I think on a lot of the things, but like this manual I proposed the other day to get adopted, I think that will take care of a lot of the shortcomings, or some of the shortcomings that may be out there. And I've still not received a copy, maybe I'll receive a copy of the manual after a while that deals with CPAs and what they do up there and how they do it. I've asked for that. If that's not public record, I'd like to know, maybe make a public records request and see how we can make it. I don't know why we would not be able to put that out to anyone to ask it. And I understand we could fire him if everything doesn't go right. He has the day-to-day operations, that's true. But I listen to my voters as well as any other Caddo Parish resident who brings any kind of concern to me, whether it's roads, very few problems with roads it seems like, buildings, mosquitoes. I think all of us probably get calls about mosquito control, need to get them out there, and animals. Animals are also going to be addressed here. So, you know, I'm always going to have the road to listen to the citizens, because if I think I've seen it somewhere, I don't remember if it's this manual, but it shows the citizens of Caddo Parish either at the top and then everything comes down, or maybe it's the other way. Citizens of Caddo Parish are supporting the administrator and then the commissioners. And that's the ones I'm responding to, and it's nothing personal, but I'm going to be responding to the people of District 8, and then anyone else in this parish. I'm not going to be listening to somebody in Spokane, Washington, anything of that nature, unless they give me a good idea and I'll take credit for it. But that's where I'm at on it. You know, I appreciate it, everything everyone says up here. If we need to go out of here and having the right relationship, I understand that. But some things that are being brought to my attention are over and over and over and over. And where there's smoke, there must be fire. And I just like to see those things rectified. I think that's what we have an obligation. I remember many years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago, this body was always in turmoil. And it's been much better for many years. And I don't want to be the one to cause more turmoil.
Right.
But I do want resolution to things that the citizens bring to my attention and address. And I understand that curtain that goes up between us and administration. But I need to have some positive feedback that something's being done. You don't have to give me specifics, but just tell me it's handled, it's handled, it's handled, or it's not an issue. That's not going to cut it with me. I have a detective background and investigative background, and I want to be able to satisfy that. As when you watch TV shows that have detective work on and all that, you want to know how they did it and how they solved it and resolved it. So again, I'm here listening to the citizens, and to me, they pay my salary. They're the ones that are bringing the issues to me, and I will continue to address them. I will not address them directly to whatever department may be, whether it's facilities and maintenance or roads and bridges or CPOS. I'm going to address them to the administrator. And I think we have a great friendship there, but sometimes those gloves going to come off and we're going to be batting it around, and I hate it when we have to do that. But the serial complaints about same issues just really rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm going to be discussing those really heavy after a while, and that's why I'm here today. Thank you, Mr. President. That's it for now. Thank you.
Mr. Coleman here.
I just want to briefly chime in. I think that that the administration does an excellent job, and which has already been communicated earlier, almost to the extent that sometimes you can pick up the telephone and actually call Mr. Wilson on the weekend. He'll return your phone call. That don't typically happen, but I think they do a very good job and that they're very responsive. The second thing I want to say, I do understand that the people seated around this horseshoe we are representatives of the districts that we are elected in. And so if you get a phone call from someone, I understand you want to be responsive to that citizen, whatever the issue may be. But I also convey that even in being responsive to that citizen, you want to convey to them that there's a chain of command here, there's an order in which we do stuff. You know, and I'm not saying that Mr. Middleton jumped out in the order or anybody else, but there's an order by which the way we handle our business here at the commission, and we want that business to be handled in an orderly and decent fashion. So it's advisable, from my perspective, that we explain to the citizen, let me get all the information, let me go back and have a conversation with the administration, I'll get back and forth with you. And so that you as the commissioner need to always be the buffer between the administration and your citizen. And at the end of the day, you do what you need to do to make sure you get that issue resolved. But we do represent people, and there are 3 layers here, and so I just advise and encourage that we try to do it in the most amicable way possible. Thanks.
I saw Commissioner Gage Watts back in the queue first. Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you.
For a second.
Let me start out by saying you cannot help but to commend administration. And as you previously stated, Commissioner Carthorne, that there's a chain of command with everything that you do. I am very confident in knowing that I can go straight to the top and call Dr. Wilson anytime I need anything done. However, I do correspond with Mrs. Bell. I correspond with Lucky as needed. If I have legal questions, Ms. Frazier is always available. Attorney Bernstein is available, as well as Erica. So to say that it's a difficult task to get anything done is a conversation that I personally feel like is not worth having. For us to have wasted the last 15 minutes talking about administration and what you are not receiving is not serving the citizens of Caddo Parish at this time. We have a serious issue at hand. If you can tell me how any part of this conversation has helped anyone who has lost a loved one this year, then make that plain to me. Crime is the thing that we should be discussing or having any type of division about.
Well,
This is senseless. This is a useless conversation. And it's showing the people who have so much distrust in us why we can't get anything done. I think some people around this horseshoe signed up for a job that they had no clue about. Because it is not our job to govern these individual departments that we already have appointed someone to take care of. Me personally, I don't have time to look at a weekly basis on what's going on in each department. Why? Because I have someone who's been entrusted to handle that properly and professionally.
amen.
Our job is legislation, setting it in place, and they carry it through. I think that we need to go back to the drawing board so that we can get real work done, because we're not working in this manner. This is what you call fugabut. Just going down the road, just kicking a can, just picking up anything along the way. Nothing is happening. So when are we going to get to the real problems? Are we going to continue to be distracted by things like this? I cannot put anything over human beings at this time. That's what's important to me. So when we take our eyes off of the things that are less important, then we are less than what we've been elected to do.
Now,
I don't mind being your brother or your sister or whatever we're supposed to be around here as one in unity. And I don't mind even having adversities with you, because we're not going to agree on everything. But we can do better than what we're doing right now. I did not come here for this. I know why I was sent here. And I think that a lot of you, if you are not comfortable in the seats that you are sitting in, give them up. You too can sign a resignation letter. Your job is not permanent either. While you keep laying this man's job on the line,
okay.
yours could go the same way. So, my suggestion to each of us is to keep the business at hand. Use your phones, use your iPads, unless it's like mine, don't work.
That's a different issue.
Go to the 8th floor. Whatever you need to do. But we don't have to waste time around this horseshoe talking about things that could be handled before we get here, just because we're on TV today. Let's stop wasting people's time. Let's regain the trust. Unless this is a direct sabotage to continue to make taxes fail.
Well,
That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Chavez, first time around.
Thank you, President. I want to let everybody know, speaking about that, we have a prayer vigil this evening at 6:30, 18:30 for military folks. It's going to be at 4445 Merriweather at the New Life Tabernacle Church. So if you're available to come out, say a prayer, hold some hands, and let's try to pray to get rid of some crime in our city, as well as a 6 p.m. meeting at the Southern Hills Business Association on Baird Road in regards to the monument. The citizen committee will be talking about the monument vicinity, so I know if you guys want to come out to that, if you can make it. We have the Animal Services Committee directly after this, so we have a pretty busy schedule right after the meeting. If you guys can make any of those, I'd love for you guys to come out. I don't want to harp on any more about what you guys were talking about admin and us. Obviously, as legislators, if we want to do something, put it on the agenda, we vote on it.
Yeah.
I think that should be the close of that topic. Other than that, I'm done, President. Go ahead.
Okay. Commissioner Bolden, first time.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, as Commissioner Chavez said, at the end of that subject, so I won't even go into it, I just want to say that there are, in all our investigations and things of that nature, we always have to consider that there are two sides to every story, and that's all I hope that we always get, that we respectfully get both sides and we don't just jump on the side that contacts us, that we look at different things, and that we also, in the event that we don't agree, again, remember our purpose over personalities and over whatever's going on, because again, we're here for the citizens and we can't allow whatever it is to come between whatever we have to do. It's just business as usual and we move forward. But just keep, let's just keep our purpose in perspective And I think that'll guide us along the way. Thank you.
I see Commissioner Lewis Johnson back in, no, you were, I'm sorry, that was from the last time, Commissioner Green for the second time.
I agree that, yes, there is two sides to every story, and in there being two sides to every story, the byproduct of two different viewpoints is the truth. When you take opposing views and you put them together, the byproduct is always the truth. With that, I have found that in some scenarios, if you don't agree and you're anticipated not to agree, you get left out of the conversation. So I applaud all my fellow commissioners that feel like they're receiving enough communication. And that's great. It's not my desire to manage any department, not one department, not any department. However, I do believe that when we have an issue that shows up on the computer that we're supposed to vote on, that we should be getting all the communication necessary and requested for us to make a decision with all the facts involved, known to everybody, so that we can make the best decisions on behalf of the citizens. And so please don't take this as a personal on anything, on anybody, on any department. This has to do with, I'm simply asking for more information to do my job better. And with that, the information that I want are all of the facts that everybody knows on issues that I have to vote on to serve the citizens that voted me into office, for which I will serve until my term is over. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President.
I was just gonna say one thing, and hopefully we can move on. I do think it's all, Commissioner Middleton, we all have to listen to our citizens. And anytime I've had a citizen complaint, you know, you kind of alluded that we weren't, but we are. I think each and every one of us do listen to our citizens. It's when we have a complaint or issue, and I had two today, sent them to the Public Works Director or his assistant, and sure did be taken care of. So we do have to listen to your citizens, but you need to always make sure that, you know, I talked to the Dr. Wilson or Robert Glass or whoever it is, depending on what the complaint is about, to make sure that something is being taken care of. So that's all I want to say. Hopefully we can move on and go forward with the meeting.
All right. Next.
President's report.
I appreciate it, Mr. Clerk. Just want to point out, and I met with the new director of property standards earlier today at a meeting. His name is Gary Norman, and I'm putting this out there because I know the mayor of Stony Hill is watching Bessie Smith, that the grass at Acorn and Stony is about shoulder high from the standing. There's a stop sign that you can barely see, so if we can follow up with them to make sure that that somebody looks at it, addresses or something like that. I drove down Acorn Street and you can barely see the stop sign coming down it because the grass and weeds have taken over that lot. So please, let's address that. I want to thank Jimmy Whitterton and Henry Bernstein. They did a presentation today for some nonprofit faith-based organizations and some private individuals who are interested in the Community Builders, Faith Builders program that we established here as a commission. The goal is to help put some of those properties back into commerce. And so they went through in a very thorough fashion and answered all of their questions to ease. And we hope that some folks will find the resources they need to participate in that program. Thank you for mentioning the meetings tonight, 6 p.m. prayer vigil. I want to thank Pastor Theron Jackson, Commissioner Gage Watt, and Commissioner Bowman for coordinating the prayer vigil on the other night, last night, for the young man who was shot. I was actually on Marquette Street in Sunset Acres when the call came through that the young man's life had been taken. And if you know that area, Marquette is not far
Yeah.
from Juella and Hollywood, so that's not a far distance. That may be half a mile
If that.
radius, if that much. So that hit close to home, and you know, I apologize to that family, and do know that crime is evasive and it hits home with everybody. There's a monument committee, long range monument committee meeting tonight. I do want to make a note that we're not voting on that issue today. That is not an issue before this commission body, and so just wanted to point that out. That is with the subcommittee group, and they'll be addressing that issue at the Southern Hills Neighborhood Association building. That meeting starts at 6 o'clock, I believe. And I want to address the final topic here, and I had an opportunity to sit back and hear everybody's comments, and I respect everybody's position and appreciate everybody's perspective, and I understand that we all approach this with our own respective manner. I do want to start by saying I appreciate the administration and their work, what they do, and how we communicate. But I would be remiss if I did not at least point out the fact that there are communication barriers from time to time that I have experienced. And the most recent example was Monday. I got a call over on Friday from some residents who were concerned about the issue that was on the agenda. Turns out it wasn't what they thought it was. It wasn't what I thought it was. I didn't have access to my iPad this weekend, so I wasn't able to pull it up as I normally do. But it got put on the agenda without any discussion. I'm gonna put some on the agenda. The process that we have established is it has to go through legal, and most folks at least would want to know, not necessarily a requirement, but they wanna know, have you been in touch with administration? Well, you know, if that's gonna happen my way, as I have said even last year, let that process be the same way. Reach out to me. We can always continue to be better, and I think Dr. Wilson is an individual who is committed to being better. But there have been instances where we have had communication challenges, and I'm going to continue to encourage us to work past those barriers, because, you know, nobody around here is perfect. I think Commissioner Bowman and I were just joking in the back that my pastor said something on Sunday that hit home to me. He said, I may be able to cast the second stone, but I'm not able to cast the first. And so we all are in a constant pursuit of something which is better than where we are now. And so I just want to encourage all of us to do what we can to make this institution better. All of us may be able to take ownership for what happened at the election, at the polls this past April. And we have things that we can be doing now to fix that, to build the trust that folks say are not there. And so as we talk about what we need to do, let's think about how we can actually implement those and make them into action items and actually do them. I'm not gonna say that everything is bad around here, because it is not. I think we tend to focus more on the bad than we do the good. That's why when I get stuff, I'm not in a rush to respond a lot of times. I take my time. If there's an issue, I'll pick up the phone and call somebody and say, what is this? If there's an issue that I'm pushing, I'll pick up the phone and send a text message and say, will you support this? Why don't you support it? It all makes us better. And I think the more we work together and the longer, you know, we don't have the longevity yet. It takes time. It's a process. But I do know that the information sharing can be better. And Dr. Wilson knows I have had that conversation with him. I pick up the phone and I call him after 5 o'clock. I call him on the weekend and say, what is this? Or what is that? Or how did we miss this? And he shares information with me. He'd call me and say, I got Erica in the office on the speakerphone. Let me run this by you. And things slip sometimes. And so there's always room for me to be better. I'm sure he will admit there's room for him to be better. That's what this process is about. And that's why it's an open process. That's why it's a transparent process. I don't know that we're to the point to where we need to be challenging each other with regards to jobs being lost, positions being, what's his name? At the end of the day, 12 people around this, 12 people around this horseshoe will have their papers graded by the citizen. You're gonna have your papers graded in the end of 4 years. And folks will give you that referendum if they wanna send you back or not. So let's do what we can to make this place a better place. We have issues that I think, and my constituent thinks are bigger than some issues that some other folks think are. But what I cannot do is diminish your issue for my issue, and I would appreciate if you would not diminish my issue over your issue. Everybody's issue, that's what I have learned in this process from my very young experience in it, is everybody's issue is an issue to them, regardless of how big or small we may think it is. Everybody's issue is an issue to them. So let's commit ourselves to doing better. Dr. Wilson knows I call him. When I feel something ain't right, I call him. Now, I continue to ask him to do the same with me, and he has committed to me to doing the same. With regards to governance, that's a lecture that I think I can spend another hour on because it's philosophical. Henry and I have debated that, I think, for at least 15 minutes one day on the phone, respectfully debated it. But, you know, our governance is unique. Dr. Wilson is not the mayor. Can you veto out? He cannot veto legislation. And so with regard to policies and procedures, I do have a different perspective than some folks up here. And you know, as Commissioner Chavez said, it's the role of us to put those things on the agenda, work through them, and vote them up or down. And so I don't want anybody to feel as if they should be chastised for making a statement or anything like that. But other folks do understand that other folks are entitled to have a different opinion from what you have. And so let's commit ourselves to staying focused on the issues that affect the people of this parish, and let's commit ourselves to doing those things. And I appreciate you all, the discussion that happened today. So I love everybody around it. It's the truth of the matter. Thank you for your service. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Thank you for your service.
Well said, Brendan.
Next, we move to public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5703 of 2017, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize the parish administrator or designee to sell the parish of Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties.
Yeah, is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance 5703 of 2017? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of ordinance 5703 of 2017? I see nobody, Mr. Clerk.
There being no one that closes the public hearings, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5701 of 2017, adopting volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the Unified Development Code and zoning and subdivision generally, repealing chapter 54 and certain sections of 48 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances. This is delayed from June 22nd.
Okay, if everybody can bear with me, I have a couple of motions. The first motion will be request to move to amend and amend and to add the language newer. Henry, where are you? To the provision regarding the mobile homes, if I can get a second.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Gage-Watt.
This is, after talking to Mr. Bernstein, the quote newer language needs to be added in there so we can vote on that.
Okay. So let's vote.
It's just adding that language, correct?
So we're voting to add.
That was the thing that Commissioner Chavez was suggesting in committee meeting. Mr. Hopkins and I looked, and there was never an amendment officially adopted making that change to that Commissioner Chavez had suggested, but I think the sense of the committee was that it was a good change, and so I want to make sure that that got put in there.
Okay. So let's vote on that amendment, please. The amendment on.
As the amendment to mobile homes.
Correct.
Yes.
That amendment passes 11-0.
Now do you go ahead and make my amendment, or does Lynn need to make his first?
Commissioner Lynn needs to.
Matthew, I'll let you make yours.
that piece of paper back.
Commissioner Lynn's gonna make the motion, it's gonna come back to me if that's okay.
This is Amendment 1 on page 5-1 of the UDC to amend the matrix to change the use of live entertainment for auxiliary use from special use permit to permitted use in C2, C3, and C4. And Amendment 2 on page 5-1 of the UDC to amend the use matrix to change the use of reception facility from special use to permitted use in districts C2 as permitted. And then also to erase the language, and you should have all of this in front of you under restaurants. It says to cross out chapter 10 of the Shreveport Code of Ordinances, and then it's unstruck, and then over a few words and then struck out depending on jurisdiction. And then added by Mr. Bernstein in this is, a restaurant may provide facilities for private events, including but not limited to wedding receptions, holiday parties, fundraisers, with food and beverages that are prepared and served on site. Private events may be hosted either during regular hours of operation or during such time as the restaurant is closed to the public. However, an establishment operating as a kitchen must have hours of operation to the public and have a full-service kitchen. And this is somewhere in between what the law used to be and what it was written and adopted by the city of Shreveport.
Okay. I second the motion. And you spoke on it already. But
Yeah.
my question is, this does not affect anything inside the city limits, does it?
No.
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 Okay, because I got an email from Jimmy Coulion asking why we would change it inside the city limits. So this is only related to outside the city limits in the parish. Okay, please vote on the amendment. Oh, I'm sorry, were you on for the amendment, Commissioner Gage one?
Yes, I had a question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What are the C2, C3, and C4 districts?
Those are commercial zones. C2, C3, and C4 are commercial districts where your C1 would have been equivalent to a B1, which would have been a neighborhood buffer, and then a C2 was more industrial use. Not industrial use, but closer in that direction.
I thought that may be imperative for the citizens to hear what we're voting on about districts.
Point of order too. If I remember, when talking to Mr. Sweeney again, it's important to note that, and kind of answer the same thing, we're dealing with the portion, the MPC area outside the city, the 5 mile area. And I forget what Mr. Sweeney says, but we're talking about 95% is it R, residential, or RA, rural? So whatever the C2, C3, C4 is probably very, very, very limited space that we as a commission are dealing with.
Right.
And that's correct. That 5 mile boundary, which is outside the city limits, roughly is about 93–94% RA residential, rural agricultural, residential agricultural districts. So you have very limited commercial zones, and so this would affect a very small area.
But there are, in the area, there is some growth that's going on, and
Sure.
I think that was one of the main things that, Commissioner Land was looking at.
Well, I heard the club they shut down on Commerce Street may be moving to
I don't think Doug knows what club you're talking about.
please vote on the amendment. I'm sorry, are you good?
Uh-huh.
Okay, please vote on the amendment. That passes 11-0. Okay, good.
All right, I'm coming back. The final motion that I would make is, since we made these amendments, I now move that we refer this to the MPC, the changes to the UDC, which were recommended by the Rural Caucus and incorporated in the UDC as introduced.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Atkins.
And
Commissioner Lynn's amendment.
and it'll include, and that will also include Commissioner Lynn's amendment and the amendment concerning the newer language. And just to update y'all, after having several meetings, I think, the grandfathering issue was a big issue. That's in there that will allow the grandfathering language. The issue concerning the appeals will come still to the Parish Commission. Number 3, the big one that I was on is if for some reason we ever want to change any part of our portion of the UDC, then this 12-member body has the right to do this. After we vote on this, it will go to the MPC. They will take it upon themselves. If they make the recommendation, yes, that's good, it'll come back to us, and then we'll vote for it in a final form, if I'm correct, Mr. Bernstein. Am I missing anything that you need to add? I'm just trying to get this moving smoothly, and hopefully no other questions.
One more rodeo with it. Does it come for introduction and 2 readings? Or?
At this point, then it will go back to the MPC. The MPC will consider it and then come back to you all for final adoption.
So it'll come back on final adoption. Okay. All right. Thank you. Please vote on the motion. That passes 11-0.
Next we have ordinance number 5703, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize the parish administrator designate to sell the parish's tax interest.
So move for adoption. Second. Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote. That passes 11-0.
Next, we move to ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5704, authorize the parish administrator to lease certain property owned by the parish of Caddo known as Lake Hayes. Public hearing and final passage will be August 3rd, 2017. Next, we need to ratify the minutes
Hold
from
on,
July
Mr. Clerk.
3rd.
Hold on, we might, we need to go back and do an agenda addition. I apologize for the Brentwood lease that was taken off.
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Motion to suspend the rules to go back and add an agenda addition to address putting the rental of our crime lab facility or anthrax lab facility for rental by McInnes Brothers. Thank you.
Moved by the chair, moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Middleton, to suspend the rules to go back for an agenda addition for the crime, to add that ordinance that we removed for the crime lab parking lot. Okay, I see Commissioner Lewis Johnson on the board. Go ahead. Now, these are just being read by title.
That's correct.
So we're not voting on anything
That's
to
correct.
adopt anything here. These were introduced on Monday, and we're just reading by title here.
That's correct.
So,
We just need to,
Right.
we're expanding the agenda, we need
Right.
to open it up for public hearing.
right. But we gotta vote on, we gotta.
Well, we need to vote public
Okay,
hearing
so
first.
is there anyone here to speak in favor of expanding the agenda to add this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to adding this to the agenda? There's no one here. Before I get to you, Commissioner Johnson, do you mind if I?
Not at all,
get to
thank you.
Did you want to speak on that?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. Good afternoon. The request to put this back on the agenda has to do with, Brentwood approached us about 3 months ago. And they are getting ready to expand their existing facility. And they don't have a place to put their material while they're constructing, the addition to the existing facility. And we have an empty facility on Vine Street, the regional lab, that's not currently being used, pending any use. So we thought it'd be a great idea to earn some revenue by letting them use the parking lot to go ahead and complete their project. And that's what it is.
And this is the one we removed, or we didn't introduce it, I don't think we removed it, but we just didn't introduce it, we postponed it. And so folks from the neighborhood thought it was Brentwood expanding into the neighborhood. We have since clarified that it is not Brentwood expanding into the neighborhood.
That's correct.
So we wanted to be clear on that. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Who's not on that issue, I was just going to speak on the Lake Hayes issue with Mr. Whittington, but I think he's left, so.
Okay, and this is just for introduction, so this would have just only been read by title. So
Understand, thank you.
we got our next meeting is not until August, right?
August the 3rd, yes, sir.
August 30th, so we have until August.
No problem. Thank you, Mr.
To
President.
get with each other, okay? Commissioner Gateway.
My question was addressed by Dr. Wilson. I know that it was on the agenda on Monday and it was postponed, and
Yeah.
so that was my question.
Okay, Commissioner.
Was this the one that you asked to be removed before you?
Well, we postponed it. We didn't remove it, we just postponed it.
Okay, but it's being introduced as it'll be introduced as an ordinance, is that correct?
Correct.
It is being introduced by title today, and it also has been advertised.
Okay, so if we expand the agenda, it'll just be introduced, and then we'll vote on August 3rd, public
Right,
hearing.
I'll just read it by title today.
Okay, all right, thank you. My question's been answered.
Appreciate it. Thank you, and again, we appreciate Henry for getting us that information, and hopefully those folks who were calling, this satisfies their concerns. So please vote on adoption to expand the agenda to add that by title. That passes 11-0.
Okay, so now we'll, ordinance number 5705 of 2017, to authorize the parish administrator to lease certain property owned by the parish of Caddo, being the east 27 feet of lot 7, the east 20 feet of lot 23, and lots 24 through 36, Belmont subdivision, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, also known as a portion of the parking lot for the Regional Health Laboratory. Next, we move to ratify the minutes of July 3rd.
I second the work session minutes.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Dominic to ratify the work session minutes. Please vote on ratification of the work session minutes. That passes 11-0, 11-0, or 10-0. I'm sorry. Somebody didn't vote? Okay.
Mr. Bowman's out of the room.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution number 61, amend the rules and bylaws of the Caddo Parish Commission regarding order of business, regarding commission meetings, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. This is required to lay over until August 3rd for final passage. It's a bylaw change.
So moved.
Second.
So do we need to vote on that?
Yeah.
Just to vote to lay over.
To lay over, okay. So please vote on, okay, I'm sorry. You want to speak on the motion, Commissioner Dominic?
Simply say this is something that the policy and procedure committee's been working on, and it was approved, I believe, unanimously by that committee. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson? I think you're the chairman of that, Lewis Johnson.
I am the chair. I don't think it was approved unanimously initially, but I think it's coming back to the body if I'm correct.
Commissioner Atkins, if you want to speak on the second.
No, I think, as Commissioner Dominic said, it came, and Commissioner Johnson said, it came out of personal policy and procedures. It passed, and it's ready to be heard by the body.
Wait. Can we get a clarification? Did it pass coming out of policy?
Yeah, it passed out of committee, yes, sir. The committee minutes are attached.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Gates.
Is this the same committee meeting that I was in that this failed?
This part didn't fail.
This part didn't fail.
Is this regarding the time change?
No.
It's only regarding what?
Citizens comment.
Expanding the agenda?
Communicates and committee reports has moved to a different part. Citizens' comments
Second
has
one.
moved down to the two parts. Yeah.
Got it.
Citizens comment. Is that it?
I got it. Yes, that's it.
Okay.
So we're just voting to lay over to the
August
3rd.
Yes.
Season finale, Michael Snow.
Mr. Bowman?
Here he goes. Thank you, Chavez.
That passes 11-0. Next.
We have no old business. Move to new business. Authorize Facebook live stream pilot program for use during commission meetings held in government chambers.
So move for adoption.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Chavez. Commissioner Chavez, you want to speak on your second?
I was just trying to achieve transparency.
Commissioner Gates Watt.
I have a substitute motion to move this back to committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Gates Watts to move this back to committee, second by Commissioner Dominic. I'm going to amend that substitute motion to adopt the recommendation that's on the board right now. If I can get a second.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by.
Oh, wait a minute, wait, we've got a substitute motion, you have to vote on that substitute
Oh, we
motion.
vote on the substitute.
You vote on substitute first. Yeah.
So I can't amend the substitute motion?
No.
No.
You can amend your original, you can do two substitutes, but you can't amend the substitute
Okay,
motion.
so, all right. Well, let's vote on the substitute motion to send it back to committee. Okay, go ahead. What did
I'd
you-
like to speak if you
Okay, go
give me
ahead.
an opportunity to.
Go ahead.
This was a great discussion that we had in committee about the Facebook live stream pilot program. And this was something that we had not gotten to a full discussion on. We didn't get the chance or opportunity to vote on it. So as the conversation was going on, I know we had a big blow up at the end about some of us making excuses and just not wanting to go along what was presented to us. However, this is something that I think that we have these subcommittees for things like this. And if it was anything else, we would do the right thing. And being germane to the subject, this is something that should go back to committee. The item that we just voted on before this one was something that we voted on in committee, that it was declared that passed unanimous or whatever, it still passed and it was properly presented to the floor. This item has not been properly presented to the floor because it has not gone through the proper chain of commands. So that is my reason for asking for this to go back to committee and let it go through that way.
Okay, Commissioner Dunn.
Yeah, I think it did go to committee. I think we did vote on that. I think it was voted on,
I thought we did.
okay, I guess it was the time I'm thinking about.
We ran out of time.
Okay, so I'm thinking about the time that was changed. Okay, well, there were some questions, we were talking about this, and there were a lot of questions, so, and issues, and I have some issues with it, so I'll support Commissioner Stormy Gage-Watt's motion.
Commissioner Chavez.
I just want to take this time to recognize all our hardworking staff at CPAWS and our ACOs. I guess Chuck granted a field trip. Thanks for coming out to watch the meeting today, guys. We welcome you. That's all, President.
Thank you. I'll speak to the motion. The item that was on the agenda was to do the program all out. What this is a request to start a pilot program because there has to be a level of comfort. And I have exchanged information back and forth with the administration. I've answered a detailed response to them. I see this as a very incremental deal. We sat here today and talked about what we want and what the citizens want and what their expectation is. And I heard a lot of comments talking about the mills renewals that failed. Part of that failure was folks felt they did not have access to information and they felt that they did not know what was going on down here. So this is a pilot program. This is not the same request or proposal that was in that committee meeting. What I am asking the body to do is take a very small investment to put this program in place. And if we see that the program is not working, we don't have to go forward and continue with it. Just like with the volunteer program that we did over at CPAWS, it started out as a pilot program. And the thing was, if it worked out, we would continue. If it did not, we wouldn't continue. And so to send it back to committee only prolongs the process. Because if it goes back to committee and doesn't pass out of committee, I'm just gonna put it back on the agenda for us to do this request. I see this as an open government, a transparency process. If we never try it, we'll never know how it works. All we'll do is sit back and say is we think, or we suspect that people are gonna do this, or we believe people are gonna do this. And I'm gonna quote something that I sent some folks earlier today that Senator Sass said. We should not weaponize distrust. If we're doing a great job and we think that everything is going great, let's open our meetings up to the public. Folks, and I see this as a compromise. I removed the time change off the agenda in exchange for putting this on the agenda. I think it's a fair compromise to say, look, instead of trying to fight the battle of doing a time change, which would, some folks said, inconvenience folks. I think on principle, the time change is a great idea. But I think this is a decent trade-off to say wherever you are, if you have access to a smartphone device, you can access our meeting wherever you are. You can put your headphones, even if you're in the airport, you can access our meetings. I know folks are saying we're skeptical about the use of social media, but we're using social media now. And we have a Facebook page that was not voted on by the commission. We have a YouTube page that was not voted on by the commission. We have a Parks and Recreations Facebook page that was voted on by the commission. When we started utilizing those, I've had the clerk to look to see when. I've even talked to Dr. Wilson. I called him up and asked him, when did we vote to set up the Facebook page? And there was no vote specifically on setting up a parish Facebook page. There was no vote to set up a parish YouTube account. And so I'm taking the diplomatic approach and asking the body to do this as a pilot program. And if we don't see it is reasonable and workable, then we'll do away with it. But I don't think that this is harmful. I don't think it's detrimental. This will help us get past the skepticism. And some of it, I believe, is self-skepticism. There's no demonstrative proof that these things will lead to, I think staff was saying that it may lead to violence or something like that. There's no proof of that. But if we never try it, we'll never know it. And so that's my request, is that we would go ahead and adopt this on final passage and implement the pilot program. Commissioner Caddo, first time.
I just want to speak to your comments as it relates to the Facebook Live thing. I'm definitely in favor of having access to the citizenry to be able to see us live in action and the way we're adjudicating and legislating in this particular process as it relates to the commission. I was not afforded the opportunity to go to the committee, but my question would be, what are the numbers that we're currently getting on Channel 6, because we do that on the in session? Do we know the number and the reach and the penetration it delivers? We also have a mechanism where you can stream live from our website, and whether or not whether or not you can do that from a laptop, whether or not you can do that from a desktop, or whether or not you can do it from a handheld device. And then second part, I see a cost not to exceed $2,500. Was there any discussion about what this equipment would run us, and in terms of maintenance, in terms of the technicians being able to transmit it at a meeting, was there going to be any increase beyond this $2,500, or do we have any research on that?
I appreciate your question. The webs to the issue of the what we're using now, I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect most folks who access us through the public cable channel are seasoned adults, not individuals who are at work, or not individuals who may be, not in front of a TV or traveling, because it's on cable. With regard to our live website, it is not mobile friendly. I believe the request came through last year that we would make it mobile friendly, but the note I got back from Nathan said it'll be another 6 to 8 months before our website is mobile friendly. And so this is an opportunity to capture a new audience, folks who are not going to automatically go to our website, to capture a new audience. With regard to the cost, Nathan sent us over the cost, and his actual cost was about $1,600 to $1,800. And so I just put a little fluff in here to make sure that it did not hit the bare minimum. So he has vetted it for the cost factor. I think it was around the $1,800 mark for this new product. So he's vetted it with regard to the maintenance. This is if they have to get a new ISP and the most expensive HDMI cord and stuff like that. So he and I have talked about it, and he discussed it in the meeting as well. Okay. So it's about an $1,800 investment.
Okay, well, I would, the first part of the question that you answered, you indicated that you suspect. Well, that's not empirical data, so I don't know whether or not we can retrieve that data. What's the penetration on the cable channel, and then the improvements to the streaming web deal, I think that's an opportunity with that. And the last question would be to you would be, you said we will capture a new market. Do we have demographic numbers on who that market is? How many people that we're going to be reaching? Because I'm all in favor of something that's a nuance and that adds more penetration, more flexibility to the citizenry of Caddo Parish to be able to view our meetings. But if we're doing something that's already probably taking place and we haven't drilled down on what the empirical data, what the numbers are, we could be achieving the same thing. So which is why I would be in favor of us going back to committee, getting the empirical data, because it's just a pilot program, correct? Yeah. And so we can go back to committee, get the empirical data. We got all our T's and I's crossed, and then if it necessitates that this new market we're trying to reach, then I can be on board with that. But I would be in favor of us having another discussion of it in committee.
Well, here, and to answer your question about have I done the research on who those folks will be, that's why you do a pilot program to see who are you reaching, who have you left out. I don't have the numbers on what our website traffic is like during our meeting times. I don't know if it's even monitored at this point, who hits our website at 3:30 on Mondays and Thursdays. If you can capture that in that segmented time frame, and for us to say we're gonna wait another 6 months to try to capture it, I think it only prolongs what would be the inevitable. It's a pilot program. What we do know about Facebook Live is it will tell you in real time who's watching in real time, and it'll tell you.
It'll give you a monthly report.
It'll give you a report, and so you can generate information based off of it. This is just another asset to have for folks to have to access our meeting. So it's just a pilot program.
Well, lastly, I'd just like to see where we at penetration we're getting right now, and whether or not that needs to be augmented with what you're proposing. And I don't think it'll probably take us 6 months to get this information. Then once we do so, we can, that's my position.
Okay. Commissioner Chavez for the first time. No, wait, I'm sorry. I think you second. Commissioner Milton for the
Call
first
for the
time.
question.
Well, I got some other folks in who haven't gone for the first time.
I'll make a statement then. I, as many people, have DirecTV. I don't have cable.
Okay.
I think Facebook is 2 billion users. I think that says it right there. It's so user friendly. I'm going to have to support Mr. Jackson's original.
Commissioner Lynn, first time.
You answered the question I was going to make.
Okay. Commissioner Bowe.
Yes, sir. I just want to know, will there be a point where they're able to make comments on there, or will it just be just for viewing?
Yeah, I mean, there's an option to do comments, and we can.
Are we gonna do comments?
Yeah, I think, and here's my thing is, I think you have to have the comments there. For
Okay.
public records, you have to have the comments there. And I know there's some fear that people may come in and just be negative and things like that, but.
Because they do.
Right, but we also have to understand that folks have a First Amendment right to be negative. And we just celebrated our independence on the 4th of July. And what we celebrated in our independence is the right for folks to criticize government. And we should not try to immune ourselves from that criticism. So, and I answer that.
Yeah, I just wanted to know
I know
generally.
But that has come up, is that folks may come on and be negative, or folks may come on and do this. I just see that as just very minor with regard to this particular deal. Okay. Attorney Frazier.
I just wanted to clarify, were you asking whether or not the public would be allowed to comment or whether the commissioners would be
The
doing
public, yes,
okay,
ma'am.
yes, I just wanted to,
Yes, ma'am. Right.
if it was the latter, I wanted to address that, but okay.
Commissioner Gage Watt, second time.
That's a great question.
That
Will
is,
the
can we
commissioners
come in?
be able to comment?
No, because there's a violation of the public meetings law.
Okay, so it will be just as if someone would be standing before us. So will there be an opportunity if they came up like during citizens' comments and they said something to us and we addressed it during communiques? Would there be an opportunity for us to go back and address those issues at a later time since it's live streaming?
Okay, let me make sure that I have the scenario that you're presenting. you're asking whether or not you would be able to go back and comment on the thread, after the meeting is over?
Yes, legally.
Legally, that's a little bit different, but I would say basically the purpose of the public meetings law is to make sure that the participants and the persons who are voting are present. So you would need to be able to, if you wanted to comment, your comments would have to be during the public meeting. But you can't, how can I put this?
We can't watch online.
The people who are commenting online, you can't address them because you're having a back and forth with somebody who's not present in the public meeting.
See.
Very interesting. I think this was the, thank you, Attorney Frazier, for now. But this was one of the very reasons why I said something like this needs to go back to committee, because as it was stated earlier, you know, we all have different of opinions on how we think that we should address our citizens or those constituents that we represent. And with something like this, we all should have the opportunity, as you said, to, you know, have that freedom in our speech and address the situation in which we feel is most advantageous to our citizens and to our constituents. With that being said, this something needs to go back to committee because there was great conversation and a great debate about why and why it should not be. I still believe that we have avenues of live streaming, as we are live streaming right now, and we don't have that empirical data on who's watching and who's not watching, as well as YouTube, as well as Caddo Commission, the website at caddo.org. So there are opportunities that are there for you. Attorney Frazier, my second part to my question is, if someone was sitting in our audience right now and they wanted to record us Facebook Live, is there any problem with that? Is that legal?
Commissioner, I do not think that we have any prohibitions on recording, so I think that that's not a problem.
So actually, we could do this pilot program without having to spend any money on it, without having to spend $2,500. Someone could come here and sit here and record it for free.
Why not have a reality
So,
show?
again, my motion still stands to move this back to committee.
Thanks, President. Commissioner Watts, I wanted to see if maybe we could do a friendly amendment to where we could try it for a duration of maybe 6 months, and then it goes to committee, so that we could discuss it. Well, as it stands right now, it's not set as a sunset to where we have to go to committee, where we could actually try it, and then we're forced to take it to committee and then discuss it, and from there we have to vote to bring it out of committee to review how it went the previous 6 months. I think that could maybe be amicable with all of us to where we could achieve some common ground. What would you say to that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, we probably see the talk about.
That's it, President.
I mean, I see this as again, transparency and accountability and welcoming people to have open discourse with us. And if they disagree with us, welcome the disagreement, because in that disagreement, you're able to find the truth. We had an issue where the Caddo Parish Animal Control Facebook page that the commission body voted on to have went awry, and it was immediately pulled down without calling any commissioners, without telling anybody what was going on. It got pulled down just like that. And that's what could happen here. And if we can vote on this to keep it for 6 months and see what's going on after 6 months, and if any time during that 6 months, I assure you that if something goes awry, somebody in IT is going to pull it down just like that. And so let's give it a shot, because we don't know what we have until we try. And let's try it and see what we got. That's all.
Vice President.
I was gonna call for the question.
Second.
Apparently I'm not.
Well, but you called for it, he spoke before, so, the question has been called on the motion to send it back to committee.
I'm gonna call on our thing.
So please vote.
Say it again.
The motion has been called on remanding this back to committee.
Call for the question.
To call for the question, I'm
Call for
sorry.
the question.
I'm sorry, call for
Two
the
separate
question.
things there.
I apologize.
First you
I
call
do
for the
apologize.
question.
Call for the question. Call for the question.
Mr. Middleton is the second on that?
Yes, I was.
Yes. Sure.
What?
Oh, it's, I pushed it. It's-
Okay.
All right, that passes
That passes
11-0 to call for a question. Please vote on remanding it back to committee. That fails
Fails.
7-4 to
Now we-
remand it back to committee.
Now we vote on
Original motion.
the original motion, yes, sir.
Please vote on adoption.
Mr. Cawthorn?
That passes 9-2.
Next, we move to reappointment in North Caddo Hospital, confirm reappointment of Reverend Robert
So moved.
Green.
Second.
Commissioner Bowman, are you on?
He's been on it.
No.
Okay.
I think it's from
Bowman.
Bowman.
That's from last
Still
time.
stuck
That was
from
from
last
last time.
Okay, all right, well, I'll make a substitute motion to englobo the appointment for the hospital board and the sports commission.
Second.
Second.
All right, moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Chavez, please vote on the englobo to adopt those appointments. That passes unanimously. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Middleton, second by Commissioner Dominic to adjourn, meeting adjourned.
What's happening
Animal
next?
service.
What, animal services?
Yeah, if we wanna have it out here, that's fine. Animal service,
Change
5 minutes.
to animal-
5-minute break in animal service.
All right. Dun, dun, dun.
I missed